Hi guys. Today's video is going to be completely different. It's hard for me to get in front of a camera even when I'm alone and say this out loud. It's hard for me to say it in general. But with that aside, I want to tell people my story, and I want to tell you what sparked this video. And I also, first off, want to let you know that if you clicked on this and you think it's clickbait, it is not. It is 100% the truth, and I promise you that I would not lie about something like this. So I'm just gonna get right into this, and I hope that my subscribers can be there to support me, and I hope that people who have similar stories to mine, because I know I'm not the only one, can reach out to me, and that's my hope for this. So I'm sorry, I'm like shaken up about it, but I want to do this. I've wanted to do this video, and I'm going to do it. So yeah. What sparked this idea for this video, or to like actually put it on YouTube, not like the idea because I've always wanted to, but I saw an article on Facebook the other day, and I will link it below so you guys can read it if you're interested in educating yourselves a little, about how international adoptions might be coming to an end, like a complete end, or how now it's going to be so much more difficult to adopt internationally, and it broke my heart. To be completely honest, it broke my heart. I have always wanted to adopt because I am adopted. So like when I was younger and like adolescence, I always would tell myself that one day I'm gonna have a child and then I'm gonna adopt one, because that was like my fantasy picture of a family. And I knew I wanted my adoption to be international because I'm adopted internationally, so that's why I held that close. It was nothing about not wanting to adopt in the States or anything, but it just had always been a thing of mine. If you are new to my channel, I'm sorry. I am Talia. It is so nice to meet you through this video camera. My name on here is a little Bambi, but my name is actually Talia in reality, so yeah. And okay, so that is the article that sparked this video, because right when I saw that, it really, really upset me to like so many levels, because I had always dreamt about adopting a child from, you know, another country. First of all, I had always wanted to adopt a child from Russia because I was born in Russia, and it was just something I held really near and dear and close to my heart, and I wanted to do that for a long time. And then Russian adoptions got, they're now illegal, so there's no adopting from Russia, from the States, and that's cut out. So my next thing, the next place I wanted to always adopt from is Ethiopia, and I've always also had like a loving, like just a love for Ethiopian kids, infants, anyone. I've just seen so many adoption stories with Ethiopian kids, and it just is all so heartwarming to me because I was adopted and I know the feeling of being in a family that, while I don't have the same genetics as them, our love conquers everything over genetics. There's no such thing as genetics when the love is so powerful, you know? So I wanted to get on here and tell my story about my adoption. And hopefully when people see this video, they will share it, and maybe it'll come to someone who can do something about the international adoption thing. I don't know. I dream big. That's how I am. I'm just like an optimist when I really shouldn't be, but that's my hopes for this video. So let's just get right into it. So in 1996, I was born. I was born to two Russians, well, one Russian and one Gypsy, and they had me. I don't even, well, I know their names, but I'm not going to say their names on camera because this is a video on the internet. So no, I'm not going to say their names, but I was born to a Gypsy man and a Russian woman, as far as I know. That's what it said on my papers from Russia. And it was 1996, July 31st, when I was born, and they couldn't handle having another kid. They had two previous kids, so I was born into a family originally with one brother and one sister, I believe. I think it's one brother and one sister. I know they were both older than me, so obviously. And my biological parents, I don't call them parents. That's stupid. In all honesty, I don't ever think about ever calling them that. But just for this video's sake, so it'll be easier with like the terminology and stuff like that, I will say that. So like my biological family, parents, they didn't think they could afford a baby. So I was born in Tver, Russia, which is a very small part of Russia, and it's kind of like an outskirt, and like a, I don't want to say like ghetto, but it's just a very little town with little to no money, and a lot of crime and weird stuff going on around. So that's where I was born, and they did not think they could handle the responsibility of having another kid, which I am thankful for now, today, as a woman, because I have the best family in the entire world. But they did not think they could have a baby, another one. So they left me. They went to a park, like one of the parks in Russia, and they just like left me. They just put me down and left me there. There's like no easy way for me to say that. I was abandoned as a baby. I was abandoned as an infant in a forest somewhere. And luckily, I was crying because that's what infants do. So eventually someone did hear me and discovered me and took me to a hospital. And I spent the first, I believe, 6 months of my life in a hospital. There was a lot going on with me, but also a lot of times, especially in 1996 when I was born, the Russian doctors, they would diagnose infants. There was a lot of infants around Russia, and they would diagnose them with things that weren't actually really anatomically correct, but it was just easier to diagnose the infant with it, so the infant could stay in the hospital care for longer than having to go to an orphanage, because all of the orphanages were filled to the brim. And so I was diagnosed with something having to do with my brain, like my spine, a bunch of different stuff. But the nurse who took care of me was basically like my basic caregiver at the time. And she wanted me to stay there for as long as I could, but eventually I had to be moved to an orphanage. So I got moved to an orphanage. And the orphanage I was in, my mom and dad tell me that it wasn't the worst orphanage, of course not, but no, it wasn't the best. I was in a crib with more than 2 babies, I believe, maybe up to, I think I was in a crib with 3 babies, 3 other babies, and we weren't fed all the time. We weren't allotted like basic amount of calories per day because there wasn't enough food to go around. There wasn't enough money in the orphanage to feed all of us. So I would fight for my food. Like, my mom tells me that I would basically just, like, they would throw something into your crib and I would like win, or I would like cry the loudest to get fed first. Like, I was always a fighter, and that's what my mom always tells me, and that always gives me hope hearing her say that, because I know I am, and that can be a strength and that can be a weakness. But yeah, so my grandfather had seen a newspaper article about Russian adoption and showed it to my mom, and my mom really wanted a girl, but I have 2 older brothers, so she had had 2 boys before she adopted me, which I'm the girl, obviously, and she really wanted to look into adoption, and she thought how amazing it would be to connect and love someone so deeply as family, even though you're not genetically related to them, because she believes in love, and she's just that kind of a woman who, like me, who just believes you don't have to be blood related to love someone or fight for someone or call them your mom, call them your daughter. You don't have to be. She's just that kind of a woman. And she talked to my dad about it, and my dad said to her, because my dad was working really hard at the time. He had a really busy job, and they were living in Connecticut, and he didn't have time to do all the paperwork, unfortunately, so he said to her, you know, if this is something you really want, you prove it to me and, like, get all the paperwork done. And that makes my dad sound so shady, but he's not. He is the best person in the whole universe. I'm not even kidding. Like, the best. Like, my best friend to this day. So, yeah, and she did. She went to the courthouse. She got a family checkup at home. She got all this stuff done, which, if you don't know, for international adoption and also for United States, there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of sitting in a courthouse and a lot of stuff like that to do, a lot to get approved, a lot to file, a lot to pay for. There's so much. Like, it's unimaginable to me the lengths she personally had to go through to actually get approved to adopt me. So it's pretty incredible. The orphanage that I was at, that she was interested in, when she was approved for some of the processes, they sent her a booklet with all these little babies' pictures in it, and basically her and my dad got to pick like which baby they wanted, and she picked my picture out, and they sent her a better, like a hard copy of my picture, just mine alone. And she said she held on to it for 6 weeks, and she just kept holding on to it. No, I think 3 months she held on to it, because she really wanted she wanted me now in that moment, and she couldn't wait to get me, and it was all just very, very exciting for her. And so she got to the orphanage, and I was there. I was really underweight, really malnourished. I got really, really sick the day they adopted me, actually. But basically, the day of adoption days at orphanages are themed. So they usually have a group of people come together from the States to whatever international adoption agency it is. And you all travel together and like stay in the hotel, and you get to know each other, and then you go to the adoption ceremony and adopt the kids and stuff like that. So my orphanage was actually in Moscow. So I was born in Tver, and I went to the hospital in Tver, but I was transferred to an orphanage in Moscow. And my parents were obviously very, very excited to see all of the beautiful things in Moscow. I mean, Red Square and stuff like that. So they were excited to travel with their group of everyone who was adopting a baby that day, or that week. It was like a week process or something like that. And they were just really, really thrilled. So my brothers were actually at home waiting for me to come home with my grandparents. So it was all very, very exciting according to my parents. And I'll try to insert a couple pictures from the orphanage for you guys so you can kind of see what it was like there. Basically, they came and everyone was in these little sailor suits because that's what my orphanage did. So like instead of a ceremony, which a lot of like more religious or like ethnic places will do with adoption, they had us just like all the babies be in sailor suits. And I was the like only tan baby because all the babies were Russian, which Russians are usually paler, like fair skinned, and I'm tan, so it was easy to spot me. And they met me for the first time, and my mom said it was love at first sight, and it was just one of the best experiences in her entire life. And I can only imagine the happiness that brought her. Unfortunately, yes, while I was a horrible teenager, I was not that bad of a child, so me and my mom have always been really close, almost like sisters. Our bond is like super, super tight. Like we tell each other everything. We laugh at the most lame things, but you know when you just look at someone and you laugh and you're literally gonna pee your pants, like that's the kind of relationship I have with my mom. And what's even more funny is that we actually look pretty similar, and a lot of people do think she is my mom, which I love. She's like olive tone skin, but we have the same hair now that I cut it, and just like we look very similar in some of the aspects on our face and just our skin tone and how tiny we both are because she's tiny. And my dad, though, is a totally different story. He's like super tall and bigger and just like pale with blue eyes, so no, I don't look like him, but that's okay. Yeah, so anyways, the whole point of the story was to tell you that I had no clue that I was abandoned in the woods when I was an infant. I had no clue until a couple of years ago because I actually was really upset about something one night, and I went and I scurried through all of my dad's files in his file cabinet, and I know where he keeps all my adoption stuff, of course, so I read through every single paper, and it's just like I felt like I could never find any real information because I have a closed adoption, so there's like no information besides like my biological parents' names, and I'm sure they've changed them, or I'm sure they're arrested, or like whatever they're doing, because like my dad was a gypsy. Like I don't know what they're doing right now. Like I don't know if they're alive. I don't know. There's really no answer other than like I have no clue. But Um, I had been really upset about something that night, and so I was scurrying through papers, and I saw like a medical paper, and it said I had all these injuries, and I asked my mom about it, and she said, oh, like, oh, so you know that you were left in the woods, and I thought she was joking, because I mean, like, that's just like, I just thought that was a joke, because it sounded so unrealistic to me, but, it was not a joke. And I was left in the woods as an infant. It sucks that someone would do that to another human being, especially when it's someone who they had just given birth to. I think that's really awful and really sad, but I do have to say that I am extremely fortunate. I got adopted into my family, who I don't even consider even being adopted really, because they're my family. Like, I am so close with everyone. My grandparents, everyone, just everyone's so amazing, and I feel so lucky every day. It's really hard to explain how grateful I am, because I know a lot of kids that are in Russia now. I couldn't imagine being there, and not having a family and going through their foster care system, or being transferred to the States and going through that foster system. Like, I mean, I'm just so fortunate and lucky. Even though I was abandoned in the woods, like, I am lucky. And, yeah, I just wanted to kind of tell you guys that of my dreams to adopt a baby one day, and that, like, more on my story of, like, how I'm adopted and stuff like that, because I do get some questions on my channel from time to time, just, like, about my adoption, or, like, where am I from and stuff like that. So I just kind of wanted to inform you guys, and I did want to just let you know that on Mondays I'm going to be doing more of sitting down and talking videos for mental health, and just in general talking story time-ish videos, because I think it's just something that's really important. And I do a lot of makeup videos. I post a video every 2 days, so I do a lot of makeup and a lot of crafty videos, but it really is my passion in life to help people, and to just, I don't even know, just to make people happy. That's always been like my thing that I've always wanted to do. And I just wanted to tell you that I've officially decided that Mondays are going to be going to be going to be the days that I am going to be doing my little talk through kind of videos, and then the rest of the days that I post videos will be the norm kind of videos that I'm doing. So yeah, and if you got through this whole video, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you subscribe to my channel if you are interested in mental health videos on Mondays, and also just regular makeup videos, because who doesn't love watching a girl do her makeup? I mean, really. But, yeah. Thanks so much for watching once again. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you read the article that's going to be down in the down bar below, and kind of educate yourself a little bit, and just really take this video to the heart, because as much as it sucks what happened to me, I am completely 100% the luckiest girl alive to be in the family I'm with today, and I want my dreams to come true one day of adopting a child. And I also want people who can't have children to get a wonderful child, either from the States or internationally, and have that gift, because it's a gift. And I was gifted my family, and they were gifted me. It's like equal gifts, you know? And I love it. So thank you so much for watching once again. I love you guys so much. Bye, guys.